Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's What's Occurring. We've got Mark Williams from Giraffe on the call today. How are you, Mark?
I'm really good, thanks, Wyn. Really good.
Yeah, loving the background there, bud. Yeah, Mark. When Mark came onto the screen earlier onto Zoom, the background was there, and now Mark just sort of appeared from nowhere, which I thought, wow. So this is something else that Mark's going to talk about today in his technological innovation, which is what we call Giraffe Pad. And I've also got my comrade at arms, Jack.
Good to chat to you again, Wyn. And I thought to get on the good side of my husband, I would move my flowers, which were originally over there, into the shops with the anniversary cards. Just to keep him happy. Not that he ever watches these videos; he's got better things to do with his time. But I might prompt him to watch, a little snippet of this one so he can see the lovely flowers they bought me.
And just for context for everybody out there, it was Jackie's anniversary the tail end of last week, and she went out and because I'm living in Wales and Jackie's living in Malvern, Jackie's allowed to go outside of the house, and I'm still locked down in Wales. So it's she's rubbing that in as well just to get down in there.
Oh, I rubbed it in all over social media. It's the only time I did not miss being and living in Wales. Fantastic.
Yeah,
England. Yeah. We could go out, can't we, Mark?
Absolutely. It's not long for you, is it, Wyn?
Well, we are still told to stay local, which that we don't actually know what local means. How far? Because bearing in mind, I live quite rural, so I could drive maybe a couple of miles, maybe 10 miles before I get 50 miles before I get to the next city or the next town. So yeah, what is local? I mean, it's if I stay local to my house, village, except or to the mountain, the closest mountain. Yeah, I think it's draw your finger to a piece of to where the wind's blowing. Guys, right. Now we've got Mark to talk about Giraffe Pad, which is a fantastic product. If everybody out there watches this hasn't seen him, and Mark's going to talk about it. He's going to promote it. He's going to answer some questions that we're going to. I'm going to hand over to Jackie to ask question number one, and then Mark. It is a free-for-all, but you've watched these, you're familiar with them. There is no script, and we just absolutely go for it. So over to you. Okay, Jack?
I'll be gentle with you, Mark. I have to, the most intriguing question that I'm really eager to ask is the name. So let's get that one out of the way first of all. Why Giraffe Pad?
Well, it's interesting because in the early days, I used to get a fair bit of grief about the name from people who are interested in the business growing and us doing well with it. And they say, what the hell is it? It doesn't say what it is. And so I always needed to explain what it is. But actually what it means is that exactly what you've done in asking that question, it gives me a chance to describe it a little bit and get people into the conversation.
Okay.
And there is a bit of logic behind it. So the name comes from, so the idea behind the product had been in my head for years. I'm not particularly very techie though. And so the how to do it was always a bit of a challenge. And I got to a point where I was sat at one of my clients, and this is like a particularly special client. It's a place out in Nairobi called Giraffe Manor. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's basically a boutique hotel, which is also a giraffe sanctuary. And the giraffe come in and they put their heads in the windows in the morning when you have breakfast, and you can feed them with sundown. It's the most staggering place in the world. I think it's the most Instagrammed, photoed hotel on the planet at the moment. Wow. And the company that owned that also owns some safari lodges, and they're a client of mine. They normally go out there once a year and work with their teams, their lodge managers, their operational managers, their salespeople. And I was sat there, I had half a day when I wasn't working, and I kicked myself into touch. I've got to build this product, got to build it. Started Googling all the names for it, like Trainers Portal or Engagement System. They're either gone or they were boring and they sent me to sleep. And just turning around, and I really was, these giraffe were stood not 20 yards away from me. And one was really stretching its neck up to feed from someone on the top floor of the double-story building. And then the mum was stretching itself all the way around some babies, a baby that they'd had recently, like a 5-week-old giraffe. And two of the things I wanted Giraffe Pad to do was to stretch out the learning engagement and to wrap around a learning session. And then I just by some silly Google search found that the word pad is one of the single most Googled words in the history of Google. And so the two things came together, and it is like it's like an online pad, if you like, for your event where everything is stored. So the giraffe bit was the stretching and the wraparound, and the pad was the thing that it is, if you like. So that's kind of where it came from.
Okay, so there is some logic. See, when he's not just a pretty face, is he?
there was a little bit of reason behind that, but do you know what?
Because I was thinking, is it something to do with like giraffes being quite literally head and shoulders above it?
Well, no, that's a good one, Jackie. I like that one.
If I'm honest, I thought it was more to do with the iconic part of it, especially when I first started seeing your post, which probably about 12 months ago, maybe. I started seeing Mark Williams' giraffe pad come in, and it just sort of caught my eye, and I thought, what the heck? And you know what it's like when the old BAU, I think the old format of world, and in all honesty, I mean, I know I do quite a lot of advocating of change management, etc. But if we've learned nothing from this experience, is where BAU is broad, is that we learn new experiences, we learn to engage more, we learn to communicate better, but we also take some time to think, what is intriguing us? I want to know a bit more about that, which is, and Jackie's massively into this. I need to stop a little bit, and because I've got so many ideas and so many things that I'm involved in, and I do need to really, and this process of being able to sit down, maybe even pick up a book, pick up a YouTube, pick up a website, and absolutely investigate what's going on with things. And that's where Giraffe Pad sort of, wow, it's to know what it means now is like a big difference.
But it's ironic because if I talk to people like yourselves, trainers and coaches, we tend to be quite creative or curious individuals. If we talk to someone who's in SEO, they just raise their eyebrows at me because, of course, no one's searching for giraffe when they're looking for engagement. So from an SEO point of view, it's probably a nightmare, but that's not something I'm going to worry about too much.
I'm into SEOs at the moment on my website, right? I'm doing, oh, God, please.
Oh, yeah. You just absolutely know now, Mark, that any SEO's watching this.
I'm going to be shot down.
Just for context, everybody, the people that are watching this, obviously on YouTube or on LinkedIn, SEO is search engine optimizations. It's how your website, it's how you fit into the Google platform. If someone goes into Giraffe Pad or puts giraffe in, does Mark come over and above an actual giraffe finding? That's intriguing part. So it is a pretty good challenge, but yeah. Mark, my question, what is it for? Tell me a little bit about Giraffe Pad. Who's it tailored for? What does it do? What's the functionality behind it? What is it all about, essentially? Give us an overview, bud.
So it's essentially, it's there to get rid of a lot of the pain points that being an external training provider throws up in life. So it's particularly targeted around external training providers, either individuals, one-off freelancers or training companies, and also coaches as well. And the idea when I talk about it as an external is like over the 18 years I've been running a training and coaching business, it doesn't matter, in my mind, how good your facilitation skills are on the day. In those days we were allowed to mix with people or on your virtual session like we now have to do. There was always quite a big vacuum of silence leading up to it and after it. So effectively, we were almost feeding that myth that all the learning happens in that 1 hour or those 8 hours, because that's the only time you could really impact on them. And I would find that even with my best clients, the people that were really, I believe, dedicated to learning, I would turn up into their premises on a sunny morning and I'd see people, familiar faces, and they'd come up to me and go, Mark, how are you? What are we doing today? I go, all right. So you don't know why you're here. You don't know what we're doing. So you're not ready to learn, basically. You don't even know if it's relevant to you. So the idea behind Giraffe is it fills those vacuums, if you like. It creates a learning community of your learners. You can create as many of these as you want in there. And so the lead up to your learning event, it shares things like you can put in there your learning objectives, the description around what it is that you're going to do. You can share learning resources with them, like videos, like questionnaires, tasks for them to complete before they get there. And there's a chat function, so you can create social learning there. You can post questions each day, get people sharing experiences. With the idea is they arrive to your learning event completely prepped and tuned and know exactly what it is you're doing, so they can hit the ground running straight away. And we recently got integrated with Zoom as well. So you can set up your Zoom sessions if you're using Zoom for your virtual sessions within the Giraffe Pad account, and they have the button to press to start join it in there. So they join the meeting with all your objectives and resources surrounding them rather than a random email in their email inbox. You can continue to add stuff throughout the session. You can upload photos of flip charts, white chart, the chat from Zoom, anything like that. And you can keep it going long after. So you can load resources after, load tasks to go to them. They can leave it open for them to access all the learning information. So the idea really, and I sometimes struggle to get this succinct enough, but it's about creating a community and a learning experience beyond just the session that you have with them at any point in time. And it's like a subscription platform, so you can create as many of these as you like. It doesn't matter how many clients you've got, how busy you are, how big or small they are. We've had one session run on there with not shy of 90 people, and other people use it for coaching intervention for just individual clients on each individual event page. So it's kind of scales to anything really.
And as you know, Mark, I've started using in terms of I've set up an event which is happening virtually on Wednesday, and yeah, you know, that was the big thing for me is to be able to engage with the learners prior to the event, but also then to be able to upload additional resources afterwards. And you know, absolutely love the fact that you've now linked with Zoom as well as you mentioned, so that everybody, it's nice and easy. They can just go to the event on Giraffe Pad and click on the Zoom button, and then, you know, we're hopefully, provided nobody has any technical issues, I have given them my mobile number, so just ring me, text me. You know, if there's any issues, not with Giraffe Pad, but with sort of accessing Zoom. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing just how, I guess, that engagement after the event happens.
And the thing is, I mean, it's, you know, I'm not going to claim that it does anything overly revolutionary, because you can communicate via email, you can share resources via services like Dropbox, you could create a Facebook community for learning community, but of course, because they're all in different places, the likelihood of solid engagement is unlikely. The idea is they've got one place they know to go to, and you can kind of drip feed stuff in there to constantly get them engaged with it. So.
Mark,
yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I think one of the key things that I'm seeing the benefit already, but and we've been chatting about probably about 20 minutes or so, and I'm just trying to think of some of the programs that because I tend to get involved in more of the sort of leadership management programs. So we do the commercial work, and the commercial work is the sort of the one-stop shops that come in. They have the training and whatever it's coaching, whether it's finance, whether it's commercial, whether it's like Jackie and I've done motion intelligence or change. You know, they are one-stop shops. You come in, you go, and that's the end of it. You get the feedback, and you may never see them again. Different with programs, and I can see with the benefit of this potentially. And I'm thinking about something, because I've got a program kicking off September, October for the next 18 months with a team of executives, and I'm just thinking it is very, very bitty how things are delivered and how things are engaged with our learners at the minute. And like you said, you know, hand on heart, how many times have we had learners come in? Have you done your pre-course work? Have you done any of that learning? Have you done any of that, you know, that investigation stuff?
Not just that, though, Win. Not just that. The typical, you go in and I don't even know why they're there. Because, you know, in
True.
any company, you know, managers, team leaders, staff, they're all really busy and may not have the time to have had those really engaging pre-training course conversations. So let's be really honest. You go into a room full of enthusiasm as a trainer, and then, you know, what are you hoping to gain from this?
What am I here
course?
for?
You know, why are you here? And they look at you blankly.
Is that the reason why when you give a delegate you know, the little cards on the front of their desks, then is that the reason why they write their names on the front and the back? Is they write it on one side so it tells them who they are, why they're there.
And this is one of the things as well, is like, even if their managers told them, look, I'm sending you along on, I don't know, X sales training course or X emotional intelligence course, they don't necessarily take, and I don't mean this in a negative way, they don't always take responsibility for their own learning. So the other thing that's in there as well is they're encouraged, as soon as they register for the event and they're on there, and like Jackie, you've invited them in, they can actually go in and it actually asks them to put their own personal learning objectives in, tell you why they're coming along. So even if they don't put much thought into it, at least they've had to think, this is for me today. You know, I'm going to be learning and I want to get something from it. So.
And that was a big benefit for me, as I say, knowing as the three of us do, that with the best will in the world, it's just usually managers don't have the time to really sit down with everybody. That's the reality of it. Whereas if we can make that process simple, and it absolutely is, because you invite them all to the event, which, you know, and I know I've had to message you a couple of times, Mark. Not being, you know, the natural technical person, but I have been learning a lot over lockdown. But it was fairly straightforward, and being able to invite learners to the event. They get an email saying that they've been invited. They then you know, accept that invite, and then, you know, that conversation can start happening. So yeah, I would put the, you know, the objectives in terms of what I've been asked to focus on, but really getting the learners prior to the event thinking, even if they don't actually go in and add it on there, as you say, that full process is already there and it's already happening.
And what a lot of our users do as well, which I think is another, especially if you're working with a group of learners for the first time, they upload videos of themselves. So for example, Jackie, you take a video of yourself, you can introduce yourself, you can talk about the way you'll work with them, how much you'll push or challenge them, the way you'll support them.
Yeah.
And you know, it's almost like when your session starts, they've been working with you for 2 weeks already. So you can really make the most of the time you've got, rather than having to do all that usual warming up and gradually easing in.
That's just got me thinking now.
Your dancing video, Jackie.
Dancing video. That might scare the living daylights out of them, thinking, who is this mad Welsh woman? I might just try that approach, Mark, and I'll let you know how I get on, whether when I do put the fear into them, or when they think, oh, this is a fun lady.
It's giving me food for thought. I mean, I've got Friday booked out to go through, because I tend to do one day a fortnight or 3 weeks now, or just TED Talks, where I'm you know, we pick a book, we pick up for additional reading, and I'm looking at sort of coaching extracts, and I like you said, we are naturally inquisitive, but I need to be able to play with something. I need to have time to go away and think about it. And I think Friday is going to be a giraffe pub day for me, if I'm honest. Absolutely, but yeah, I like your surname as well, so you've got a foot in the door on that one. Because if you lived in Wales now, I bet we'd be cousins, because I'm sure, I'm convinced everybody in Wales who Williams is a cousin of mine.
My dad always insists I should be Welsh and I should consider myself Welsh. Apparently I'm half Welsh with my background, and he despairs if ever I support England in anything. So yeah, there is a genuine connection with Wales there in the name.
well, my I mean, obviously I'm Turner now, but my maiden name was absolutely not a Welsh name. I don't know if I've ever told. So I know I'm going off on a tangent here, Mark. But when used to be
we're going to bring you back. We're going to bring you back.
We'll bring it back. But I don't know if when I've ever told you what my maiden name.
No, I don't think you are. Or you might have, but I maybe have forgotten it.
If I had told you, you would never ever forget it. So I'm going to announce.
Okay, what is your maiden name, Jack?
And I'm going to be watching your reaction, both of you.
Okay.
To
Intrigue.
My maiden name is Troller.
Oh, wow, okay. No, you definitely haven't done that.
You did really well, both of you there.
I did not know that.
You'd never guess I was a Welsh lass, would you, with that name?
No, absolutely not. Although there are a family of trollops in one of the next villages over the mountain behind me in Cirencester, so you might be related to them.
Yeah,
Stephen Trollope. Anyway, I digress. Mark, let's bring Giraffe Pad back into the mix, and Jack, we'll talk later, I think. Right, what's next for Giraffe Pad? I mean, what you see is what you get with it, but we are continually in that world of innovation, that progression, that moving forward. I mean, you know, some parts of this progression we've been forced into. We've adopted, which it seems to be a strapper in the mind at the moment, but change management. So where do we see Giraffe Pad developing further? What's next for it?
So it's kind of like there's a constant evolution of small little feature changes. We get lots of feedback from our users and requests for changing certain things, improving. So we're kind of constantly evolving little bits. But in terms of the bigger growth, we will get to a stage probably at the end of this year where we'll start to very specifically develop features that fit slightly different sectors. So at the moment, it works for any of the sectors, but it's probably most aligned with the external training provider. We want to really enhance the coaching aspects of it so that more coaches might use it, and build very specific coaching features in there so that a coach doesn't feel like they can use it, but there's certain features that are more aligned to trainers. So we're going to build that, and then we're going to really develop the sort of multiple training consultancy type features, where at the moment you can have many trainers on there, but there isn't necessarily much reporting or much of a dashboard, which we want to build so that a bigger business might use it to manage their training business in there. That's kind of feature wise, but my long-term goal for it is that actually we get to a point where we've created so much flexibility in there, you can create the learning journey for your learners that you choose rather than how it's built and fixed. So for example, Win, for your programs, you'd be able to create an event page that ran quite differently to Jackie's, for example, and quite differently to mine. And you basically drop in the bits that are relevant for how you want your learners to learn. So it'll become a very, very flexible learning experience for your learners, and work for any kind of training business, basically.
I mean, that sounds fantastic. And I'm already thinking Win, because you might have seen a recent post of ours on LinkedIn, Mark. So Win and I are collaborating with another experienced trainer and recruitment specialist, Tracy Mountain. The three of us are collaborating to launch our sort of career event and career support service. And we're already launched, we launched our first event on Eventbrite for, what's the date? 28th of July. That's sold out within less than 2 days. So we've added more. We've added more, focusing at the moment on managers who might be sitting in another management role or even a change of direction. We're also doing one for trainers, because we're being trainers ourselves, we can help our L&D community. So starting with a sort of launch event where we go through, CV writing, how to create a great LinkedIn profile, interview skills. As I said, we've got Tracy on board as a recruitment specialist. But then following on from that event, then, an ongoing, coaching, mentoring program with individuals to really put them in the best place possible to get ahead of the competition, because the competition is growing out there. And and we have to come up with a name. So that's already got me thinking now about not going with something that's typical. Something that might get people.
Can I go to Nairobi and get a really cool name like Markham in that hotel?
But I'm also thinking potentially how the collaborative service Giraffe Pad could be something that would be beneficial to us, because I think, Mark, we had a conversation prior to recording this, just a little chat beforehand, and I said, you've got a challenge to get Win on board with Giraffe Pad. You've already sold it to me. I'm using it. I think you've done a fantastic job already. But could you see Giraffe Pad as being something that would be really useful for what I've just described?
I mean, absolutely. There's no reason it couldn't be used in that way. Although we've obviously built it very much around the learning experience, the features in there work for the kind of event that you described. I mean, probably the best analogy is we had a training community called Trainer Talk use it for their live event, where normally they would all get together, like 60, 70 of them, but we can't get together at this moment. So they use it to facilitate, and they have various things to it. So they have a get together on a Thursday evening. They have the main event on the Friday. They have evening events on the Friday, and then a group of the leaders of that group also get together. And so all of that was put together in a program in Giraffe Pad. Everyone was invited in. It created a chat and a community. There was lots of resources shared. So it wasn't specifically a learning event, if that makes sense, not in the traditional terms that we might normally talk about. So it was more of an event and a collaboration. So absolutely, yeah.
I'm just to bring. I'm in the middle. This is still. I wouldn't say it is in the development stage. But the format of it is being sort of mapped out to a point. What we're going to do, why we're going to do it, what our target market is, etc. To be very, very specific. And the irony is, we start with the end in mind and work our way backwards on it. But the timeline is, like Jackie said, we do the training as a start for 10. And the key of this is, and I think this is where Giraffe Pad, because you have sold it to me, if I'm honest. And I think once I get my head around the way it works, is that we do the training, then we get the one-to-one involved, then it's the CV sort of, this is the timeline of that of the profile of how how the development of the business is going to work. And I think, again, coming back to what you originally mentioned earlier, is the rationale behind why you created this, because everything is very stagnated at the moment. If you want to engage people, just my current CMI, I've got a cohort of a few courses going, but one that is still continuing through the the lockdown period, which is a Chartered Management Institute, so the CMI Level 5 diploma. And I've had these guys since July of last year, and it's the crescendo. I think it's something like November. But we've got a WhatsApp group going. We meet up on a Zoom or Teams rather than what we do on occasion. We use WebEx as well, just so we can mix up the platforms. But that integration is lost, and it's only through reactive formats. We haven't got anything proactive in there, where I'm guessing you put the timeline in, put the dates in, and whatever activities you want in there. At the moment, it's very, very right. I'll send you a WhatsApp, or how are you? How did you get on with you today? Right, guys, we need, I've got a session with them Thursday, I think it is, to go through their CV, to go through some of the assignments. So we booked out 3 hours, but that was an email, and that came off the top of my head. Listen, I've got a free slot on Thursday morning. Can we get together? And I did it off WhatsApp, put it on Zoom. So we've got WhatsApp, we've got phone calls, we've got text, we've got email, we've got PowerPoint, Zoom, whatever platform we decide to use. So to have it all under one banner just so makes sense. Why haven't we done it before? I mean, and it is so. Yeah, I'm quite liking this.
Yes, I knew you could. So to bring this.
I mean, you got a bet going on or something. You two have got a bet going on or something, haven't you?
There was no prior conversation at all. To bring this to conclusion, Mark, any sort of trainers or coaches that are going to watch this, whether they're watching it on YouTube or LinkedIn, etc., what three reasons would you give for somebody to be using Giraffe Pad? What would be 3 benefits to them?
Good question.
What's been interesting, so I talk to our users all the time. Some of them have formed really good friendships. Like in the early stages of business, you're so close to them anyway. And obviously I built it with various things in mind. One thing I would never intention it not to be this way, but it hadn't crossed my mind about how professional it made trainers and coaches feel. But interestingly, when I speak to our users, one of the first things they say is that when I use it with my clients, it instantly increases the level of professionalism that I feel in what I'm doing and how they see me, because it is taking control of things. It's done it looks good. It's done in a very professional manner. So interestingly, that would be one thing that I'm going to use my users' language here, so that actually it brings a professional edge to the service you provide, because it's not just you turning up into a room or running a Zoom call. You're managing a whole learning experience with a very tailored product that is built that way. Secondly, I would say, and I don't need to preach this to anyone because you'll all know this, any trainer listeners have known this, but in my mind, it almost doesn't matter how good you are or how good your content is. If the learner isn't engaged, you might as well give up shop. They're like, there's a wall there, and unless they want to learn, unless their curiosity has been sparked, unless they totally know that what they're going to get is for them and going to benefit for them, all your effort goes to waste. And so the point behind Giraffe Pad, it doesn't do it for you. You still have to put effort in, you have to load your content in, you have to engage with your learners, but it makes it easy for you to do that. And then the difference happens when they arrive into your session, because they know exactly why they need to be there, what they're going to be covering. They kind of feel like they know you already and been introduced to you. They've covered off some of the content. If you think of the current times with virtual sessions by nature have to be shorter, which means you have to strip content out. You've got all the content stored in Giraffe Pad, so you're not losing any content, you're just giving it to them in different ways. And then lastly, we know the follow-up. When people leave the training room, we'll go off the Zoom call, they're fired up, they've got these commitments, they say, I am going to change the world. And 5 minutes later, they're back in normal, and 90% of what you covered off them has just gone straight out of their head. Well, it makes it very easy. It keeps the learning going because they store their commitments and actions in there. You can follow up on them very easily. You can drip feed content in there. They form a learning community on the chat so they can talk and share. So it keeps your learning going longer, which as an external training provider is another reason to sell yourself in and say, look, I don't just turn up on the day. I'll work with your learners beforehand and afterwards without really taking up a lot of your time or cost. So I hope that was 3 things. It kind of went on a long time, but
I got to be honest, that's great context.
Because
and the best bit of that, I guess.
So I threw that question in.
Well, I was just going to say, actually, what I found particularly pleasing recently, we onboarded a new user recently who's very, very experienced with LMSs and all the different online platforms are out there in big corporations, does a lot of virtual learning, and her view of GiraffePad was it puts the learner first and it puts the learner at the heart of it. It's not an administration tool. It's very much about helping that learner get the best out of their experience with you. And that, I hadn't worded it that way myself. That's how she said it. And that gave me a warm and fuzzy feeling because that's really what we want out of it. So.
I bet it did, because we've always said with these What Security sessions, they're not scripted. We do ask our guests to give us an idea of a few questions that potentially we could ask, but occasionally we throw in some of our own. I think you responded to that. Just me throwing in a question you weren't expected. Very well.
As long as you don't ask me to dance, Jackie, I'm fine.
No, we're not going to get you the dance, but no, I think you've earned your stripes with using GiraffePad on it. Yeah, no, we're not. And Jackie, and you can't integrate dance into your next program with the clients now, okay? That's not what GiraffePad is meant for. I can sense Jackie's going to be putting these dance modules in now, Mark. So there may be a new tech upgrade request coming from Turner Corner Learning Solutions.
Yes, I
may
may just upload a little dance video before they join my events.
Okay.
They know what to expect then, don't they?
If nothing else, it'll make them smile.
Exactly.
Mark, just to bring this conclusion, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know now Friday is going to be my investigative day. I just haven't got the time before, and I'm literally looking at my diary now to see what I can integrate it in. I mean, I think the platform, the rationale, the reason behind it, and I think the coup de grace from your one reasoning is that it's got the learner in mind 100%. It is not about the trainer. The trainer's the front end, the learner's the ongoing, the learner's the all-encompassing part of it. And that's where, I was always taught when being a young manager and working in a corporate world 30 years ago when I started, is that engagement and enablement were the two key things for a successful team. And I think GiraffePad does that. It's got the enablement in it because it's integrative. You load what you want in there, you keep them, and it's all under one banner. But it's that engagement platform as well, which means that it's part, their training, their development, their progression, the innovation, and everything else that they do is all encompassing within it. So I've thoroughly enjoyed this, but so.
Plan up for Friday then, Win. You might want to, get Mark onto WhatsApp with you and just pre-warning you, Mark, because there'd be no point when you're having to fiddle around or play around on GiraffePad on Friday, Win. Please do not WhatsApp me, or you can if you want to, but you won't get a reply because I'm having my hair done. Yeah.
Oh. What is this all about? This hair thing. What is this all about? This hair thing? 20 odd years ago, the last time I paid for the haircut, it was £1.90.
And on that note, I think we better end this before anyone thinks we've totally lost the plot.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, thanks, bud. We will catch up soon. Yeah, appreciate it. Great.
Real pleasure.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks, Jackie.
As always, though. Bye.